You are listening to the New Book of Daniel podcast. Hello and welcome to the New Book of Daniel podcast. My name is Daniel Bobinski. I thank you for listening. And I'll be your host on this adventure as we talk about the gaslighting of America continuing. Specifically, today we're talking about social media. Yes, we could be talking more about the fraud that is being exposed in our electoral process. Mr. Rudy Giuliani, Ronna McDaniel have been tweeting out about affidavits coming in, a lot of whistleblowers coming forth. I'm looking forward to seeing that information. I'm looking forward to seeing it go all the way to the Supreme Court and having all of this fraud exposed and these people who've been cheating the system found out and duly punished. But we have a few weeks, I guess, for that to unroll. Today, I want to talk about social media. Yesterday, Twitter censored 12 posts from President Trump with the warning that this claim about election fraud is disputed. They keep doing this. They keep trying to kill the conversation about the election. They keep putting us in a box and saying this is false information. And really, we're talking about creating an atmosphere where you're afraid to even discuss facts for fear of getting your account blocked or getting tagged or flagged. I know my Facebook New Book of Daniel page has been flagged for posting facts that their fact checkers didn't like. And then they sent me this little thing that says, hey, we've restricted the number of people who can see your page because you post false information. Well, I've got news for Facebook. Their fact checkers are full of it. I'm posting facts, just that they don't happen to like the facts. USA Today today pointed out, listen to this, conservatives are increasingly congregating on social media outlets designed specifically for people who think like them. They're talking about people who are sick and tired of Twitter and sick and tired of Facebook blocking and flagging their posts and their tweets. And people are starting to go to Parler. They're starting to go to MeWe. Now, Parler is more like Twitter, and MeWe is more like Facebook. You also have Gab out there. You've got USA.life, different social media platforms. Twitter and Facebook think they own everything here, but they don't. So when USA Today tweeted out, conservatives are increasingly congregating on social media outlets designed specifically for people who think like them, it's kind of a dig. It's trying to make you feel embarrassed. It's a gaslighting thing. I responded to that. I said, if designed specifically for people who think like them means freedom to discuss issues and facts without fear of getting our accounts blocked or deactivated, then yes, USA Today would be absolutely correct. I mean, think about this. We've got people who are putting out information about the election, sworn affidavits. These are documents that are submitted to court, right? Here's one. Read this sworn affidavit from GOP poll challenger and former Assistant Attorney General from Michigan on the alleged fraud he found in Detroit. So this is a former state attorney general who has written a sworn affidavit. And guess what Twitter does? They block it. They say this is disputed. So, now we have articles like why Twitter won't let people share sworn court documents alleging voter fraud. They just don't want people to see this information. They think that they control our conversation. And they're getting a little worried that the conversation is leaving, that people are going to be leaving Twitter and leaving Facebook. And that's true. That's happening. I've been personally advocating for people to go to MeWe. I have accounts on Parler. I have accounts on MeWe and USA Life. And I post to all of them, as well as posting to Twitter and Facebook. And I've been advocating people, every day I put up a tweet, meet me over on MeWe, I put the link, and many people are coming over to MeWe. Just in the past week or so, I think I've picked up 100 followers over on MeWe, people that I can connect with and talk about information freely. It's amazing to me how free, it feels, to be able to just state facts and not have to worry if some fact checker is going to come along and say, this is disputed, you've been flagged, this is false information, when in fact I know it's true. Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, has started pushing Parler because he tweeted out that the government sent 1.1 million dead people stimulus checks. Remember that $1,200 stimulus check that went out about 9 months ago? Well, it was discovered that 1.1 million dead people received stimulus checks because our government system can't keep track of people. And so Rand Paul is tired of getting flagged too, so he's pushing Parler. Let's take a look at the mission statement of Twitter for a second. It says the mission we serve at Twitter is to give everybody the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Our business and revenue will always follow the mission in ways that improve and not detract from a free and global conversation. Twitter, I'm calling you out. We don't have free conversation on your platform. We post stuff and we get tagged. I remember posting something. I quoted US code. I quoted the United States code, and I was blocked for 12 hours by Twitter for quoting US code. That should not be. Facebook's mission statement is to give people the power to build a community and bring the world closer together. People use Facebook to stay connected with friends and family, to discover what's going on in the world, and to share and express what matters to them. Not when we're afraid of getting blocked by you guys, getting that little gray flag over our post that says false information that has been fact checked, and fact checkers have found this to be false, when in fact it's not false. When I post a peer-reviewed study, when I post a half a dozen peer-reviewed studies, and Facebook fact checkers find one peer-reviewed study that has a different finding, it doesn't mean that the 6 peer-reviewed studies that I posted are false. That's not how science works. But Facebook doesn't seem to realize that. So how can you get around Facebook and Twitter's draconian little minions of fact checkers? I have found a way. I'm going to share it with you here. This is pretty easy. Take your statements, rather than say, we found voter fraud, blah, 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 put it in the form of a question. With all hat tip here to our recently dearly departed Alex Trebek, just put it in the form of a question. My purpose for posting this information anyways is to get my liberal left-leaning friends on these platforms to consider facts that they're not going to hear on the news that they watch. For example, listen to how I recently posted something on both Twitter and Facebook. I said, quote, what if, hypothetically of course, Biden's vote totals in non-battleground states were way below Obama's totals, but in specific swing cities and nowhere else, Biden's votes exceeded Obama's totals by 40%. I mean, what if that happened? What could possibly be going on? That's a question. I'm not making a statement. There's no declaration of anything there. I'm just asking a question. Facebook can't flag that as false information. All I'm doing is posing a question. Here's another one. You can consider these ideas and use them for yourself. What would you say if 450,000 ballots had a box filled in only for one candidate on the entire ballot? It's all I put. That's the only question I asked. What would you say if 450,000 ballots had a box filled in for only one candidate on the entire ballot? If you're a left-wing person and you're scrolling through and you see that, you go, it's a question. Hopefully they think, hopefully. And they go, well, that does seem kind of weird. And why would he be posting that? Just to crack the door a little bit that maybe there's something to this voter fraud, that all of our talking heads on the legacy media seem to be insisting that there is no evidence of voter fraud, when in fact, it's all over the place. I can't imagine, if you had asked me 10 years ago, could I imagine the news telling us that these facts are not real, that there's no evidence of these things, I would have said you're crazy. but yet here it is in front of us. So I just want to encourage you to check out Parler, check out MeWe, check out Gab if you want, check out USA.life. Now I'll tell you, USA.life is leaning more conservative and conservative Christian. Another social media platform would be Brighteon.social. Definitely a conversation starter place set up by Mike Adams, the health ranger. He's been totally blocked by Twitter, totally blocked by Facebook. You can't even mention his name. You can't link to any of his articles on those platforms because they just think he's crazy, but in fact, he's a true patriot who posts constitutional stuff. They don't like it. So he started Brighteon, a social media platform for videos, and then Brighteon.social, which is like a Twitter / Facebook combo. As I said earlier, MeWe is much like Facebook. If you are on Facebook and you like Facebook, chances are you will like MeWe. And then there's Parler. Parler is very much like Twitter. It's nowhere near as robust. I certainly wish that they would make the fonts a little darker. I mean, I'm 60 years old next year, and my eyes aren't quite what they could be. I don't have the screen resolution. It's a very difficult time for me to read on my desktop. It's a little easier on my phone, but much more difficult on my desktop to use Parler. I find Parler to be a little less intuitive than I would like it to be. It's not as robust, anywhere near as robust as Twitter, but it is an alternative to it. I personally would love to see President Trump just dump Twitter and move to Parler. Parler would explode, except they're growing so crazy now. They're having a tough time keeping up. They're having to add servers like crazy. But it would be hilarious to me. I think probably 25 to 50% of Twitter would just bail on Twitter if President Trump left Twitter. That'd be hilarious. So anyways, that's what I'm going to wrap up with today. Go ahead and check out these different media platforms. See what you think about them. And of course, while you're there checking them out, if you sign up, be sure to look me up. It's New Book of Daniel on all of those platforms. It's usually an @ at New Book of Daniel. And of course, if you want to reach me via email, it's simply newbookofdaniel@outlook.com. This is the New Book of Daniel podcast. My name is Daniel Bobinski, and I thank you very much for tuning in. I will catch you on the next show. Until next time, be blessed.